Today, the Aam Aadmi Party has been in the news all day, from the attack in their office earlier today to them expanding their reach by joining a Mumbai students' protest against the Vice-Chancellor of the Mumbai University for suspending a professor, to Arvind Kejriwal announcing their anti-corruption helpline just a short while ago. But perhaps the biggest focus has really been that vandalism by about 30 to 40 people, most of them members of the Hindu fringe group, who were protesting against Aam Aadmi Party leader Prashant Bhushan's remarks on a referendum in Kashmir on the Armed Forces Special Powers Act. How has social media reacted to this? That's what that's what we discuss in our second segment on the social network today. Hate speech, winning Aam Aadmi Party attack, Prashant Bhushan with a hashtag. You can tweet us your comments on TSN on NDTV. We're joined now from Chandigarh by Arjun Sharan, who is a lawyer and an activist. And we're also joined on a video call by Ishan Bagga, who is an editor of IndianExponent.com, which is an online news portal. All right, if you could just begin with you. All right, that page that's coming up on your screens at the moment is from the IndianExponent.com. And Ishan Bagga has in fact put up that article, and the man who circled in that picture is Vishnu Gupta, who has now taken ownership and responsibility for that attack at the Aam Aadmi Party office this morning. And the police is in fact checking whether he is in fact the guilty, and they will be looking to pick him up and slap him with the relevant charges if in fact that turns out to be true. Ishan, Ishan, one of the things that social media has also found itself doing, and we're going to bring in the hate speech in just a bit, but one of the things that social media has found itself doing, sites like yours, is actually put out the picture of some of these people who have just simply behaved like goons and vandalized the Aam Aadmi Party office.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to say that the association that has come out between Vishnu Gupta and BJP, that shows that youth wings of parties are being used for vandalism for a long time, and because of social media and quick availability of information, that now it has started coming out and being circulated as well. So people can clearly see how youth wings indirectly do vandalism and try to curb the freedom of speech.
Okay, that's freedom of speech. You say you make that point about freedom of speech being curbed. Let me actually just bring in Arjun on that. Arjun, what do you make of the fact that some of the comments that have actually come on Prashant Bhushan online are actually downright ridiculous? Many people have talked about the fact that why did these goons just go and attack the office? They should have actually beaten him up.
Well, when these comments come up, that's the downside of free speech. But given that I'm a free speech activist, I think everyone should have the right to express their views, including these people. Frankly, whenever it is not views that are liked by you that constitute free speech. It is views that are not liked by you that also constitute free speech and should also be allowed to be expressed. Now, I expect the same courtesy from these people who've gone on and vandalized Prashant Bhushan's office, Aam Aadmi Party's office. We must understand that the right to freedom of expression is the linchpin of all rights. And once this goes, the discussion, the dialectics about all other rights are put on hold. So the moment you must remember that the moment someone like Prashant expresses something, he must be extended the basic courtesy, the basic right every human being has been, as a society we've been fighting for from the last few centuries. The ICCPR talks about it, the Constitution of India talks about it, and today if we are not giving it, what is this whole idea? In the US, there's been a huge debate on hate speech, and there the arguments don't come from groups which are talking about freedom generally. The argument is most with regards to hate speech by these fringe groups, where they say that even their speech is part of freedom of speech and expression. And I am saying that even people who with such views, which may not be palatable to many of us, should be allowed to express their views. They could go to Jantar Mantar and do whatever they want to, and let us have a dialogue about it. With regards to what Prashant Bhushan had in fact said in that day, it's a very critical issue. Kashmir, AFSPA. But where is the debate? merely because you label someone as anti-national, I think that labeling of sorts has a chilling effect on free speech. We must understand that this free speech is also from which the right to free press comes from, the right to freedom of information and the RTI Act comes from. So once you curb this particular right, then you have the issues of McCarthyism, you have the issues of censorship, press censorship. You don't want this country to become another China or another Nazi Germany, where people are not able to express their own views. And I must tell all these so-called fringe people or fringe groups that whatever they want to do, even if they have whatever kind of national or anti-national views they may have, let's come on a table, let's discuss these things, let's get into a dialectic. Because if you're not doing that, not only you're not ignoring the problem, trivializing the problem, but also you are ignoring the basic right of freedom of speech and expression.
In fact, Arjun, it's interesting you say that because, when Arvind Kejriwal spoke after that attack and he addressed the media, he did in fact speak about the fact that while these were Prashant Bhushan's own personal views, but he also mentioned that if any of these people had a problem with his views or any views, they should come to him and talk about it. So really talking about a process of dialogue there. But Ishan, what I find really interesting also from what Arjun is saying is this whole idea of free speech. And when social media came about, one of the biggest reasons to cheer about it, one of the biggest reasons everybody went so gaga of social media and we see everybody trying to come online, is that it was supposed to be that alternative space that actually allowed so many different types of views to come together. But more and more increasingly, it's just becoming a place where you find yourself silenced if you say things that don't work with the majoritarian view of the people on that space.
Right. See, the question is for me, right?
Yes, the question is for you.
Okay, see, right now, our constitution is not that mature as compared to America. That like First Amendment is highest regarded content of the Constitution in America. That's not the case in India. Constitution needs to protect free speech at the utmost priority, and only then free speech on social media will also get that much importance. Right now, groups like these have started spreading jingoism in the name of patriotism. So they make certain topics taboo, and they can't be discussed. And ideas which are not supported by majority, they obviously get curbed that way. So same has happened in Prashant Bhushan's case. Even the mention of Kashmir has been made taboo by groups like this. So a proper debate is not possible without bringing all the opinions in the debate.
Absolutely. Arjun, before I come back to you, I just want to quickly bring in a couple of points that Subhash has in fact tweeted to our show and sent us. He's in fact said that abusive, insulting, derogatory content should not be posted on social media, as that may induce disaffection among people. He's also said that free speech doesn't mean one says anything which may disturb harmony and peaceful environment. Self-restraint must be exercised. And Subhash is obviously also echoing the views of many who feel that there should be a certain amount of, let's say, for example, self-regulation in a sense, when you're speaking on social media. How do you feel about that, Arjun?
I think this whole idea of self-regulation, or I would call it self-censorship, is very damaging to the very ethos of right of freedom of expression. Because the moment you start, you start curbing your own speech, where does that lead to? The word chilling effect, that comes from this whole idea that because of certain backlash that you might otherwise receive from people, some kind of flack, you start regulating your own speech. And this also includes individuals, but also this includes members of the press, this includes news media organizations. So the moment you start self-regulating yourselves, self-censoring yourself, you don't need the government to actually censor you. You have created a structure where you are ensuring that you don't say anything to offend anyone. And this whole idea that you won't say anything to offend anyone, I think you can't do that in any case. The moment you start behaving in such a manner, I think that will be the biggest assault to freedom of speech and expression. With regards to social media, I must say this again and again. last few years we've seen in Egypt and other places the kind of role social media played as a tool for freedom of expression. The same social media, the reason the state wants to regulate it is because they are so afraid of this freedom of expression. And these fringe groups, such as the one which attacked Prashant Bhushan's office today, or other groups, other internet trawlers who attack you immediately after you say something, I think they are in fact worse than the mainstream media, or sorry, they are worse than the government itself, because they not only tarnish a person's reputation, but also ensure that people's constitutional and human rights are not exercised in a proper manner.
Right. All right, Arjun and Ishan, I think we'll have to leave it there. But I think quickly just want to bring in two last quick comments that we've got from Anurag, who's also said that social media is rife with hate speech. Nothing new with the vitriol being poured out on Prashant Bhushan. The target keeps changing. But, whether that exists in its form currently, but that's an ethos and that's a thought that we constantly have to find.